We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. My name is Hassani.
And I'm Jeff Witt.
Oh my God, let's do this again. Let's try this again. Let's try it again. Good morning, everyone. This is Hassani.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are the Couples Academy Show. Glad that you're here with us. We're going to be talking about some interesting things today. I felt led to go in a different direction, and we're going to unpack why. But listen, no matter where you're tuning in from, no matter where around the world, we want to acknowledge you. We want to know that you are here with us. And as you come in, make sure you do this. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you share. We want the community to grow so that more people can get a lot of this goodness that we're talking about. Remember, Last Chance Weekend, December 10th through the 12th coming up. We have a few couples that have signed up. We have a few slots left. Do not miss the opportunity. It is exactly what you need. You're sitting on the fence. You're vacillating back and forth. You're wondering, should I, should not? I'm not sure if my spouse is all the way in. I don't know if I want to invest this money. I'm not. See, all of those reasons and excuses will keep you in the same situation that you're currently in. But when you take bold moves and you make destiny decisions to help transform your life and your relationship, there is a huge return on the investment that you make. And it's risky. That's right. But the greater the risk, the greater the reward. We're talking about, how bad do you want this marriage? How bad? We want to ask this question because there's so many people who have a desire for stuff, but aren't willing to put in the work to get what it is that they say that they want. Now, we have dealt with this when working with couples. We've dealt with this when working with individuals, whether men or women. And sometimes we just got to call a spade a spade. We got to have a real conversation. We got to push pause on the content to go deep dive into a conversation that is necessary to shake us out of our, I don't know, lackadaisicalness, I don't know what it is, Jeff, but we got to talk about this. Now, how bad do you want it? Now, we're not just talking about, even though we're talking about your marriage, how bad do you want whatever it is that you want in your life? Like, if there's a track record of you being half-hearted, half-stepping, giving mediocre efforts, then it's going to translate into your marriage as well. Jeff, talk to me about this.
Yeah, so I mean, this is something that utterly makes me sick. And it makes me sick because every time I see it in someone else, I'm reminded of how bad I was. Okay? This half-hearted, I've given up on my desires. I had these dreams as a child. I had these dreams in college of what I wanted to be and what marriage was going to look like and what my family was going to look like. And then I got out there and it got hard and it got tough. And I didn't get that NBA thing, and I didn't get the basketball scholarship, and I didn't get the football scholarship, and I didn't get the full ride to college, and maybe I didn't finish college. So all my dreams are ended now. I've just got to take this job. I've got to deal with the marriage that I've got, and you just kind of go into this rut of just accepting life the way it is. And it's a trap. It's the biggest trap there is out there, is just accepting life as it is. You know, just suck it up, be a slave at work, be dissatisfied at home, and then you wonder why you have problems with your kids not liking you, why your wife doesn't want to talk to you anymore, why your husband doesn't want to talk to you anymore. You settled. You settled. Now, when we were dating and we were recording at that job, we were out there putting on our best selves and our best and talking all this junk about what we could do, what we were going to do. And then all of a sudden, you gave up. And you're sitting there at home now, maybe, wondering, what did you get yourself into? Well, the truth of the matter is you got yourself into you.
Most of us give up we throw in the towel, we call it quits. We're tempted to just let the whole thing go because it's just too hard, or it's taking too long, or I didn't expect it to be this way. Like oftentimes when I ask a person, is this listen, are you willing to do whatever it takes to get what it is that you say that you want? Well, what do I have to do? If I hear that question, I already know. I've already identified them as an individual who's really not willing to do whatever. Because outside of anything that would compromise me legally or spiritually, I am willing to do whatever it takes because my why is strong enough to endure the anyhow that there may be. Like, oftentimes we convince ourselves why we can't do something because we're looking through the lenses of self-esteem issues, inadequacies. We're looking at our past failures. We're looking at things that didn't work out. And our self-esteem has been beaten down so low that when we face an obstacle that appears to be huge, we've already become defeated in our minds. We've given up right here. And if we've given up right here, then any step we take will be fruitless because we won't be able to accomplish what it is that we claim that we want because we don't have a belief system that supports our actions.
Hassani, if you'll allow me, I remember Danielle had story time yesterday. If I can have one story about just success, whether it's success in marriage or success in life in general. There was a man and he'd heard about this great coach and he was going to hire him. He called him up and he's like, listen, he's like, I'm very busy, but I can probably make a slot for you, but you got to show me that you want it. He goes, okay, I'll do anything. So he pays the money, sends the money ahead. He said, meet me at the beach, Newport Beach, they're in California. Meet me at Newport Beach at 12 o'clock tomorrow. So the guy gets all suited up in his tie because he's knowing he's going to meet this big business coach, and he gets to the beach. And there's the coach standing there, no shirt, just shorts, standing there looking at him. And he goes, well, you're here now. Let's go on. So he starts walking towards the water. He goes, wait a second. Like, I came in a suit and tie. And he's like, well, that doesn't matter. Like, you paid for the session. You might as well do it now. And there's no time for you to go home. So come on. So they walk down. And he starts to take off. No, leave everything on. They start walking down towards the water. And then he got a little wet. And he said, but my suit. And he's like, nope, keep going. You're here now. Let's do this. You said you wanted it. Let's do this. Doesn't matter if you had the right clothes on or this or that. We're here to do the coaching session. He's like, but I do my coaching sessions in the water. So he gets out in the water with the guy and he goes out a little bit further. And now they're up to their necks and they're standing there and he's all worried about his suit. And so the coach reaches over and he grabs the guy and he holds him under the water. The guy starts panicking, swinging his arms and flailing his arms. And he comes up and goes, why did you do that? After about 10, 15 seconds, he goes, when you want success, bad as you want it air, that's when you'll be ready. It's not about your clothes. It's not about your presentation. It's about your unlimited desire. And if any of you ever held your breath underwater, you know what that desire is, to feel air in your lungs again. And when you want what you want in your marriage and in your relationships and in your business and in any of these things, when you want what you want with your relationship with God, when you want it that bad that you've got to fight to get that air, that's when you're going to see the success. And most of you, and most of us, including myself, find comfort zones, sit down on the couch, and watch one more episode of The Kardashians.
I think I want to see, there's so much you said in that, but the comfort zone, that phrase resonated the most because most of us stay stuck in our comfort zone and we don't want to do what's uncomfortable. We don't want to do what's inconvenient. We don't oftentimes want to go out of our way. A lot of times our effort is based upon what we believe our spouse's effort will be. So if he ain't doing it, I'm not doing it either. If she's not showing up, then don't expect me to do it. And so we're still waiting for circumstances to change, conditions to change, the stars to align, everything to get in a order, in a sequence that we feel comfortable enough to begin to do something. But you cannot base your decision or when you act and when you move on anyone other than yourself, because because you are the lowest common denominator in the relationship that you were in. And to your point, if you're worried about your suit, if you're worrying about how you look, if you're worrying about your reputation, if you're worrying about what people are going to think about you, if you're worrying about how your spouse will respond or react to what you're doing, then you really don't want it as bad as you say that you want it. You should be willing to do whatever it takes if you really want it. You know, it makes me think about the stories I hear about children who are trapped, you know, in a car that's on fire or something like that. And the parent gains this supernatural strength and is not even thinking. They just react because their main focus is saving their child, and they will do whatever it takes. It doesn't matter. And it's interesting how we have more of a passion and a desire to do for our child than we would to do for our spouse. Now, I get it. They come from you. You've birthed them. You've raised them. I get that. I understand that. I'm just simply saying the same level of passion and commitment and diligence and stick-to-itivism and fire that you would have for your child, it should be there for your spouse. This is your life partner. This is the person who you're going to spend the rest of your life with and have an amazing journey together. But we're very lackluster in our approach.
Absolutely. Can we pull back the hood and figure out why we got stuck? Because I think that's important. All right. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there was a study done at the University of California that showed that the average toddler hears the word no 400 times a day and may only hear 5 to 10 yeses. So I want you to think about how many times you've been no and how that's curbing your attitude and your desire. So by the time you're an adult, you will have heard the word no 27 million times, all right? By the time you're 40 years old, you might have heard it 58 million times, okay? So you've heard more no's than yeses, and those no's are slowly curbing you and disciplining you into a lackluster life. The problem is when you became an adult, things changed. There's a Bible verse that is well known where Jesus says, "Suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven." And at some particular point in our lives, we got to find that same joy and that exploration that we had as a child. Now that we're mature enough as adults not to put our hand on a stove, we need to find that same joy, that same fervor about something or someone. And a lot of us had it when we went into our relationship. But then we heard no, and we heard no, and we heard no. And hearing that no, we just snapped into the old behaviors of being this docile person that didn't explore or have adventure in their lives anymore. But if you're not living a life of adventure, you're basically becoming a couch potato in life. So you're going to be like, as far as success, as far as money, as far as your relationships, as far as anything important in life, you just accepted your lot in life. And if that's where you're at, not a lot anyone can do for you.
I think it's interesting, you know, you hear no that many times, and they say that the first 5 years of a person's life is the most impressionable. That's why I think the Roman Catholic Church says, give me your child for the first 5 years and we'll have them for the rest of their lives, because that is a time where they're being molded and shaped. And subconsciously, you're hearing no. Subconsciously, you operate and move in no, and you become self-defeated in your approach to life. And you have to break out of that. You have to make a decision to become someone new, to become someone different. And this is where your personal transformation comes in. This is why we have Jeff here. This is why we have Lakeisha, because yes, we work on your marriage, but we also take the time to work on you. That is where your individual growth journey comes from. Because when you can become the best version of yourself, guess who benefits? Your spouse, your children, your marriage, your family, the world does. But there's no excusing the work. Listen, there's a lot of comments that we have here. We're going to be right back after this quick break. You're watching the Couples Academy Show. Stay right there. That's right. That's the last chance we can go ahead and register for that. We have a lot of comments in the chat. D says, thank you, Couples Academy, because I was ready to give up. But watching you 100 YouTube videos later, I saw that I have to do work on me. Hard to face, but I know if I fix me, my marriage will improve also. Thank you so much. That is so true. You are the lowest common denominator. Every relationship you enter into, particularly your marriage. And when Danielle and I stopped trying to fix the marriage and fix each other and internally looked at ourselves, that's when everything began to change. Jeff has the same testimony about doing the internal work, that inner engineering, that inner alchemy, and then all of a sudden everything around you changes. Keisha says you have to do the work to get the changes and results, to get the resolution in order to move forward. Then we have Kylesia, forgive me for saying your name wrong. I word it a little differently. Okay, how much does the marriage want you? I already know what I want, but it won't work if it is just me saying I want. Well, let's challenge that a little bit. Let's challenge that a little bit. The marriage, does the marriage want you? Well, what does that mean? What are you defining as the marriage? The marriage is the combination between the two of you, right? So let's be more specific and say, does your partner want you? But let me just say, there was a time when, according to that thinking, my marriage didn't want me because Danielle didn't want me. She was done. She was ready to throw in the towel, call it quits, give up. She wasn't trying to hear it. She was just in her own space. But I wanted it bad enough that I ignored her reaction. I ignored her emotions. I ignored her no. Her no meant nothing to me. And then I came across something that says, go for no. How many no's do you have to go through or get before you get your first yes? And guess what? I pursued it relentlessly. I was ferocious in my intensity and was able to turn that thing around. And then when I began to change, she began to change. Our dynamic began to change. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? No matter what it is that you want to pursue in life, your hustle, your grind, your desire has to be strong. You can't look at the circumstances and the situations and say, well, it don't want me. So until it wants me, it can't take one person. It starts with one person. It starts with one, then it begins to transition into both of you being on the same page. Go ahead, Jeff. I see you chomping at the bit.
Well, it's one of the biggest lessons I learned. It was the toughest lesson I learned. Is I always loved expecting someone to love me back. Right? And after 10 years of destroying my marriage, I wanted her to love me back when I made the decision immediately to love me back. And, I had conversations with people like you, Hassani, and with my father, who's been a minister for years. And they would say, love is a gift you give yourself. Being loving as a human being is something you give yourself. When I became loving, my wife opened up. Now, she didn't believe it right away. She's like, what is this trick? And who is this monster you just dropped in on me? Because I don't know this guy. It was good because she was cautiously watching to see if it lasted or if I just wanted something. Because I grew up in a family, in a household, in an area, in an environment where people gave love in order to get something else. And they expected it. And then the moment they didn't receive what they wanted, they became confrontational and competition with each other for some reason. And I think a lot of us have grown up in those environments. But there are people on this planet, I know because I'm becoming one of them every day, a little bit more, who just realize that actually giving love is joyous and it actually feels good. I'm a big, tough guy. I'm a fighter. I do all these things. I'm an old soldier, all those kinds of things. I like that whole manly vibe. I'm all wolf packed up. But at the end of the day, there's this other side that I'm absolutely enjoying every day that is just being loving to everyone around me, but especially those closest to me and my family and my inner circle.
There it is, folks. There it is. What is it that you really want for your life? See, there's three types of people in this world. The person who doesn't know what they want. And if that's you, that's a different conversation.
Yes.
We need to talk through identifying what you truly want, because if you don't know what you want, you're going to remain stuck in your situation and you may continue to complain about what you don't have because you're not clear on what you actually want. So the person who doesn't know what they want, the second type of person is the person who knows what they want but isn't willing to take action. They're looking at their circumstances, they're looking at excuses, they're looking at the weather, they're looking at whatever it is as a justification for them not to move. And the third type of person is the person who knows what they want and who's willing to take the necessary action. But what do I have to do? It don't matter. I'll do whatever I have to do. See, when you have that mindset, everything begins to shift and change in your life. And that's what we want you to have for your marriage. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't know a single person who's in this chat right now, who isn't watching from far and near, who hasn't gone through some type of challenge, misunderstanding, setback, obstacle, crisis in their relationship that they haven't worked it out. They're working it out. They've overcome it. They've been in a better place. I think what we need, Jeff, are more examples of success stories, because the more I can see success stories, the more I believe it's possible for me. And maybe that will help to give me that drive and that push to get what it is that I'm observing in others that I believe I can have for myself.
Rule one, so at the end of the day, you're looking for that couple who's been married longer than you, or at least as long as you, and is still happy. They're still chasing each other around the house. They're still people are still like, get a room. They're still in love. They're holding hands. They're going on trips together. They're doing things. And it's not just a show. You can tell it's real. They actually have a great relationship. You need to see what that looks like. I look out in the world and I don't see it as much as I'd like to. I have a great inner circle of friends and family and, like Hassani and people like that. But if you can get in a circle where that environment is there, it becomes easier to create because you have examples. You don't see it on TV unless it's acting. You don't see it around you unless it's just not as prevalent as it was. And a lot of people are fake. And
Jeff, I think what you're saying is important, right? You have to change your environment. We said this a few episodes ago, that it's interesting. When I look at a person who's divorcing, I can almost guarantee that they have close friends who have already divorced or in the midst of divorcing. So in essence, you become a product of your environment. And I had to realize I had to change my environment. I had to get around different people. I had to get around reminders constantly of what I wanted for my life, because peer pressure is a real thing and it can work in both a positive and negative way. So because I'm around smarter people, more financially secure people, more spiritual people, more accomplished people in their career, I feel the pressure, right? A good pressure to be more. They help to pull out of me what has been lying dormant within me. So when I'm around people who are in healthy relationships, who are romantic and connecting and have great communication, guess what? That's pressure. It pulls out of me what's inside of me to have something better for my marriage, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. That's the key. It really is. And if you can't find those individuals, start with the reading. Sometimes they're around you, but you don't know how to recognize it. And so what I've learned about money and about a bunch of other things, people who are broke have a hard time speaking money. People who are lacking love in their relationships have a hard time speaking love. So sometimes you have to read it and learn the language of that particular thing before you can actually go out and do the thing and be around and recognize when it's real and when it's fake. You've got to know the language, what it looks like, what it sounds like. And as you learn that, then you'll be able to start realizing there are people around you.
Jeff, I want you to do me a favor, because this is a principle that I learned from you. One of the core concepts of the training balance scale. They've heard it from me, but I don't think they've heard it from you. Talk to them about the training balance scale, what that is, and how that impacts how they show up in their life and in their marriage.
So, one of the things we always ask is, how do I know I've arrived? In a particular situation, how do I know I've actually got it? And it's 99% thought, 1% action. Well, you've got to realize that 99% is the crucial point. Hassan, you present a little different. Can you give it to me the way you present it?
Well, I say that most people are caught up in how thinking, right?
Yes.
99% of their focus is on the how, and 1% is on the why, and it should be the other way around.
That's exactly right. The 99% of why is how you're going to get, because your why will overcome any how. And so to arrive at success, you're 99% thought. Like tying your shoes, you don't think about it. You give it one thought. You're not spending 99% of your time thinking about it. You give it a quick thought and it gets done, right? And what Hassani's is saying right there with the 99% why, when you have a strong why, how becomes irrelevant. Your why has to be big. As long as it's a possibility and you have a strong why, you can get it done. And that's really got to resonate. You know, there's a book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why.
And that's a great book, and it's great for your business, and it's great for your life, but it's also great for your marriage. You got to learn how to be able to read other things, eat the meat, spit out the bone and the gristle, and apply it to your situation. Like whatever you can pull on. And really, you know, we're talking about increasing your desire. Like one of the things that you have to do to increase your desire to stay in this marriage, to increase your desire to continue to do the fight and the work that's necessary is what Jeff is suggesting: reading books, watching videos, being around positive people. There's got to be something that you're pulling on that you can become anchored in that will fill you up and put that battery on your back to keep going. One thing I have known when I think about just success in general, people who have struggled for years, but they remain committed to that process, years later, you're like, man, they're doing so well. Yeah, because they never gave up on what it is that they were pursuing. We see this in business. We see this in career. We see this when it comes to finances, people who've had horrible credit, all types of debt, but they were committed. They were committed to the consistency of doing the right thing. And all of that hard work paid off. And now they're experiencing the fruit of their labor. Well, the same thing works for your marriage. It only takes one to initiate the process, and then all of a sudden your spouse catches on board. Chris Williams wants to know, Jeff, what was the name of the book again that you just referenced?
It's a business book, and if you learn anything, you're going to find that in each part of your life, a lot of the principles can be used in other places. And it's a Start With Why. And that was Simon Sinek, Sinek. Very, 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 very good book.
Couple questions came in from Cantita. Where is that resort? I would love to go there to do the work on me. That is right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Just click the link in the description to find out more about it. It's there. Then Darren says, I'm definitely looking forward to the Last Chance Weekend. Well, we're looking forward to having you, my brother, and your spouse. It's going to be incredible. JD says, how do you show loving yourself? How do you show loving yourself?
I get it.
You understand what he means by that?
Yeah. How do you actually demonstrate that you love yourself? Well, first you've got to actually love yourself. And what that means is being completely satisfied with who you are and not letting outside circumstances determine how you feel, right? So we have 5 senses: what we see, what we hear, we taste, they affect our thoughts, right? Those thoughts affect our emotions, and our emotions, if we sit in those emotions for too long, they'll affect who we are. When you want to show that you love yourself, you're reversing the polarity on that. You're making a decision real quick about who you want to be. That will affect your emotions. That puts you in the driver's seat. And then those emotions will drive your thoughts. Because I feel good right now. It's hard to think about bad stuff. And then when I can think about the good stuff, I can overlay. I'm not changing the environment around me necessarily. It might still not be that great, but I'm able to overlay and project what I could do with that environment. I always use the example, and I know I'm going over to Hassani, but the example is just simple, like an investor looking at a house versus a regular person. A person walks in a hoarder home and sees all the trash everywhere. The investor, because he has an intention and he knows who he is, will walk into that same home and go, man, once I clear the trash out here, I'm going to get a great price on it because there's trash in here. And I could put a fireplace over there, marble countertops over here, a great new shower in here. I'll rip out these walls. They see the possibility even in chaos. And that's what
and it's all perspective. It's the lens that you look through. So a part of, how bad do you want it? Well, what do you see when you look through these lenses? Do you see nothing but challenge and struggle and hell, or do you see opportunity in the midst of the storm that you're currently in? So it goes back to your mindset, right? When you begin to work on this is the muscle right here. This is the tool. If you can begin to work on your mindset, it builds up your desire to go after what it is that you want. And then at that point, you're willing to do whatever it takes because your willingness to have it far outweighs the circumstances that you are in. This was good. This was just a little dose of medicine to give you what you need, to set you back on course, to help you get realigned in this journey to your personal self and your best marriage. I see the questions that have come in. We're going to talk about that tonight at Ask the Experts at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tune in so we can have a phenomenal conversation to give you the answers that you're looking for. Appreciate you guys. See you tonight, and then we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.